All right, this is Sports for Real with Coach Hall. We're trying to make this a short one. Every time I say I'm going to make it short, something always happens to extend it, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that sometimes you got to take care of other things. Um, just some quick coaching news. Two hirings yesterday in the NFL. You have Jeff Hafley, who was the defensive coordinator of Green Bay. He has agreed to take the Dolphins job, and Robert Saleh, who was the 49ers defensive coordinator, he is going to take the yeah. I'm drawing a blank today, but Robert Saleh just picked up a job. I can't remember what team it is, but he's going to be the new head coach. And sometimes when these guys get hired, you have questions about them. Um, Saleh, he was the defensive coordinator for the 49ers one time, did a great job there, involved in some Super Bowl runs. He takes the Jets job, turns the defense around, but couldn't quite get the offense going and ended up costing him his job. Um, Plus, he was snake bitten. You know, you had a guy like Aaron Rodgers who was there to take them over the top, but he got injured on like the third play of the season. And that just messed everything up. And ever since then, the Jets been pretty much going downhill. So he goes back to Frisco for 1 year, runs the defense there. Pretty good football team. But that team is snake bitten also. All them damn injuries they've been having the last couple of years in Frisco really derailed the chances of that team. Now he goes in his new position. And for the life of me, I can't even think of what the hell it is. I have to apologize on that. Normally I know all these things, but today I'm a little slow. But Saleh is new head football coach. And he's going to take over and try to rebuild his image as a head coach because he doesn't have a successful track record, and he gets another chance. And that is the theme amongst NFL coaches. You get fired today, and hell, before the day ends or within an hour, you start to field calls from other teams. That's what happened with John Harbaugh, who signed with the Giants. Stefanski, as rocky as the road he dealt with in Cleveland, he landed standing up in Atlanta. Once that news got out, Baker Mayfield, he found out that he was going to be going to Atlanta. He was excited about the prospect of going against Stefanski because Stefanski pretty much just threw him out the door in Cleveland, gave up on him. But I don't feel sorry for Baker on a situation like that when he thought he was all that and 4 or 5 bags of chips. What was that? Hugh, the coach at the time for Cleveland, Hugh, I think it was his name. He pretty much had like the man was the reason why they were losing. He had no respect for him, and I didn't like the way that went down. So the fact that he got tossed on his head, now you expect somebody to look at him any different after that. And what comes around goes around. You thought you were so much above somebody else. Hugh Jackson was his name. Once Hugh got out the way, and you thought that he was like, and by the way, you a rookie. How are you to assess somebody's qualifications as a head coach when you just walking into the league? And you disrespected that man so much. And now you talking about you looking forward to going against Stefanski after what happened to you in Cleveland. Nobody want to hear that, man. You're crying too much. And you have opportunity to bounce back. But if you don't bounce back after the way you guys ended the season, they're going to be looking to get rid of you too. Again. So he needs to tighten up, shut up, and go play. Speaking of tighten up, shutting up, and playing, is old C.J. Stroud. You know, that guy, when he had that rookie year, he had a real good rookie year. I think he won Rookie of the Year that year. This guy went on all the talk shows, podcasts, and pretty much talking about how great he is and how he just knew what he was going to do and all that. It sounded good. But if you notice, since then, he hasn't done a whole lot. His play has markedly digressed. And it's digressed to the point now that when you call a player Houston, you don't know if he's going to throw it to your team or throw it to the other team. And lately, he's been throwing it to the other team. And that's kind of sad because he got a championship defense. If you translate that to what's going on in college or what went on in college, Texas Tech had a championship defense. but they had an offense that killed them in the end. That quarterback was hit and miss that they had. And then when they really needed him to play, he didn't show up. Same thing with CJ Stroud. This guy's getting paid millions of dollars to go out and play when it counts, and he can't play. So the question is, how long does the Texans deal with the CJ Stroud experiment? Do you give him one more year? Do you pay him? How do you handle the situation? Well, if it be me, I think he has an option that they need to pick up. I would pick up that option and make him earn it. If you go out and play well enough, then we'll sign you to a contract extension. We're looking at about $55, $60 million if you get it. But if you don't, we're going to get rid of him and go find me another quarterback. Because at the point he is now, he is not in position to get anything. But sometimes you got to take a leap of faith. What's the guy, Trevor Lawrence? He got signed and he hadn't really done anything. He got his extension. Now this year he played pretty well, but in the end, when they needed him to play the most, he started throwing interceptions again. Now let's keep in mind that this is just a game. The guys are going to make mistakes, and it doesn't matter how much money you got. Things are still going to happen, but people are looking for you to perform in a certain way to justify your position. CJ Stroud did not do that. Trevor Lawrence improved, but he digressed in the playoffs. So it's hit and miss with these guys. So the college just ended with the great game between Miami and Indiana. And it looks like Fernando Mendoza probably played his way to a number one pick. And I think it's either the Raiders or the Jets who are going to have that top pick. And either way, he's going to go to a bad football team. And it's one of the reasons why the guy from Oregon decided to stay in college, because he wanted to go play for the Jets. The Jets have been snake bitten lately. And what went on last year with Aaron Glenn, it's a wonder he still has his job. But if he comes out slow any kind of way, you're going to get rid of Aaron Glenn. And I think he knows it. So Fernando Mendoza more likely is going to wind up with the Jets. And he's going to be in that situation. But the kid has shown you that he has the potential. He has the drive to be that number one quarterback that you're looking for. Miami beat on him, hit him with a couple questionable shots. But on that fourth down draw play, that was a great call, first of all. And you say coaches don't matter, only the players do? Shit. Signelli say they drew that up based on what they saw from film. They put that in just for that game. And when he called that timeout, they had already got the look from Miami. Called a timeout, and they said, well, if we get that look again, then we're going to run this play. Sure enough, Miami comes out with that same look. Design draw play, they blocked it, ran over a dude, dove into the end zone. That was a championship play. Just like he had against Penn State when they drove him down and tied that score up. That was cool. Now, one thing I didn't fail to tell about yesterday, I normally like to throw a little history anecdotes in there. You know that Mendoza, he played for Columbus High in Miami, and that's where Cristobal came from, the Miami coach. He actually was on the same high school team with Fernando's dad. Now, when I first started watching high school football back in 1980, I had one of those little, I don't know if you old guys remember those TVs, like a little boom box, a radio, had a little 2-3 inch black and white screen. Well, I had one of those. I happened to turn it on one Saturday and caught the state championship game out of the Pensacola area, a school called Gonzales Tate. They were playing a school called Miami Columbus, and this was back in 1980. And they were playing on a Saturday at that time. And that's the first time I ever heard of Miami Columbus. That goes all the way back to 1980. And for a while, it disappeared. And recently, the last 10 years, that's been a high-profile program. They won championships in football in 19, 22, and 23. 2019, 22, and 23. And they won the last 4 basketball championships. Now, Mendoza himself, he kind of like missed that. He was a 19, 20, 21, 22. He was a sophomore on the 2019 team, and he was not the starting quarterback. It was the guy, McDuffie, Brandon McDuffie was the quarterback. Mendoza may have been a backup, but he got a championship there, but he didn't lead a team to the championship. So if you are a quarterback that leads a team to a championship and you got the right measurables, then most of the time you're going to get an offer to go to college. As you recall, he said after the game that he was just a two-star and he didn't get any offers from anybody. And he tried to go to Miami as a walk-on and they refused. Now, one thing people hadn't said, we got the Columbus angle, all these Columbus connections here. But one thing they didn't tell you about, on the other side, Carson Beck, he went to Georgia out of Jacksonville. But before he got to before he got to Georgia, he led Jacksonville Mandarin to a state championship. And lo and behold, who did they beat for the state championship? Miami Columbus. So it all came full circle. Miami Columbus all over the place. Carson Beck beat Columbus for the championship in 2018. They came back in 2019 and won their first championship, which is the first time they had been to the championship since that 1980 game I referenced. And Beck went on to win his championships at Georgia while Columbus was winning. And then Mendoza got his championship while at Columbus, even though he wasn't the starting quarterback. You got the connection with Mario Cristobal, Mendoza Sr., and now the Miami angle. I guess you could say Columbus got their revenge on Carson Beck and Mandarin when they knocked them off in the national championship game. So it's funny how all these things tie together. And if you're not paying attention, that things like that will just fly right over your head. All right, you threw for less than 107 yards. I don't know. You mean as far as being a pro quarterback? Well, Miami had a great game plan. I told you guys going into the game, the one thing Miami has that's an advantage of most teams they're going to play, they're going to have speed. And because they have speed, well, you might have a receiver that's separate from somebody. That cornerback is going to close the distance, and he's going to be closer than you think, which is why I said to you, that route that Scott for Miami jumped against Ohio State, I thought that Indiana would see that. Run that same formation to make Scott think that the ball is coming out, then throw something behind him and hit him for a big play. They never did. But in the second half, when Miami started to tighten up their coverage, they almost stepped in front of, actually stepped in front of one, but the kid didn't seal the catch. He was more happy with knocking it away instead of catching the ball. But he should have actually caught that. He had the right break on it. He got both hands on the football. Or actually put one hand on the football instead of putting two hands on it. But he had a clear shot for an interception and run back for a touchdown. That would have made a difference. But all that comes with speed. Indiana didn't have those breakaway receivers. They don't have those five-star recruits. They just got a bunch of guys that play as a team and want to win. And it's an old school style approach. But the more football evolves, the more it really stays the same. You guys throwing around ball 400 or 500 yards a game. But when it comes down to the goal line, and you don't have all that wide open space to throw, you're going to have to line up and run the football. If you can't run, you got a problem. So, again, the more football changes, the more it stays the same. Selmo, what's going on, man? You think Coach Prime and the Buffs can pull a Signetti and Indiana type season? Well, the thing about Signetti, he's put pressure on everybody because, hell, if you can win in Indiana, you should be able to win anywhere. You don't have that big NIL evaluation program like Texas Tech does or LSU, who lures Lane Kiffin away from his winning program at Ole Miss. They don't have none of that. They don't even have the five-star recruits. So basically what Signetti is telling these people, you don't need all that. You just need somebody who can coach, and you need some guys that want to play. You got to get the right talent out there. Just because you got the measurables, that don't make you a five-star player. I've seen a lot of guys on film, and I'm trying to figure out how the hell is he ranked a five-star. He's throwing passes behind the damn receiver. What makes him a five-star? Because he's on a team that wins? Well, if you don't know what's going on in high school football, the players are getting together and as a collective, and they say, let's go play together at this school, or or the coach send out the emissaries to go recruit much talent as he can to come play at that school. Then you have situations like Northwestern with Teddy Bridgewater. He's got talent come from everywhere. He's got to turn them down because he can't take all those players. So talent is everywhere. And when you start stockpiling, you get on a winning team. That doesn't mean everybody on the team is college level. You just got so much talent that the other schools it generally can't match up. Now, a lot of these rural programs, they can't recruit and do the things that a lot of these inner city schools do. There are some, and if you are able to recruit on a rural level, you got a huge advantage because you might be playing against a team in the state championship that might have 23, 24 players, and a lot of them are playing both ways because that's what that school produces. But if you're in the same position where your school produces the same kind of thing, but you go out and recruit 10 or 15 guys from bigger schools, not only do you have an advantage there, you got an advantage in numbers. And there's nothing fair about it. And these state associations in Florida, they allow it to happen. So when I see programs like that, when I know your town doesn't produce that kind of talent, and you win the state championship, I pencil in an asterisk by your state championship because, as far as I'm concerned, you just out recruited everybody. I mean, that don't mean a damn thing to me on the high school level. If you're that much of a coach and you so much better than everybody, go to the next level where everybody's playing on the same rules you have, and let's see what you can really do. Then your ass gonna be back in high school trying to do the same thing again 2-3 years down the line. Perfect example of that is Todd Dodge at Texas. He was at Southwest Carroll, and he went to North Texas. Now you got the same rules as everybody else. Dodge was a hell of a coach, in my opinion, but he couldn't do it. Joey McGuire came along at a better time than Todd Dodge. He's got that money backed up by Campbell, and he can get NIL to go get people where Todd Dodge can do that. Now, if Dodge had came along at the same time as McGuire, and he went to a program that was able to gather money like they do in Texas Tech, then you would be hearing more about Todd Dodge as a great college coach as opposed to a high school coach. So what did he do? He went back to high school, and as far as I know, he's still at a day racking up wins after wins. That man's a good coach. He bends the rules a little bit, and nobody says anything. All right. But Prime, he's on his way out. Like I told you guys before, he's had those health issues. If it was me, knowing how humanity is, once you start getting sick, you're not going to get much better. And I'm not going to have somebody come cart me off the sideline on a damn ambulance stretcher because I just refuse to quit. Once I start getting cancers or whatever else, I'm gone. I'm going to go do whatever the hell I want to do. And it ain't going to be on those sidelines to spend my last days. And that is for sure. So I don't know how Prime feels about it. Maybe he just want to show everybody he can win without his sons. And maybe that's what he's motivated by. But if he don't win this year, I think they're going to get rid of him. And if he does win, I think he may walk away. So let's just say this is probably going to be Prime's swan song in Boulder. Can he win? Yeah, he can win. But there's going to have to be some changes there because that defensive line went backwards last year. All right. Tony and Fletcher are pro players want to do great at the next level. Yeah, Miami always has great players, so that doesn't surprise me. Indiana players started James Madden for whatever. Yeah, a lot of them did. Just because you're at a lower level, you just didn't get the attention that some of these other guys got. But once you step on that field, the dimensions are the same. Either you can play or you can't. And now that you know that money can be made at bigger schools and you're at a James Madison, you're going to put that work in. And you're going to try to get better, so maybe you can go somewhere else. It just so happened for them, their coach left, and that was an easier transition for them as opposed to say, I'm from James Madison, let me come play for you. And the other coaches might have slammed the door in their face. But that's why I tell my players all the time, you guys in high school right now in the perfect time. If I'm a high school player right now, I'm working out 3 times a day. I'm working out 4 o'clock in the morning. I am going to practice and put my work in there, and I'm going to do an afternoon evening workout and do the same thing all over again because college is now the new profession. So you don't have to worry about getting to college and trying to get better. You want to get better now. And those guys from the state of Texas that play high school are in a better position than everybody else because that product that they put out in Texas high school football is more polished than anybody else coming to college when they get there. So this is a great time if you're from the state of Texas with the way that they put in the money in high school football out there. This is a great time for you to set yourself up for life. Not saying the other states don't do it. It's just that Texas is just ahead of everybody else when it comes to developing players. And once these guys realize that, then they will put the work in. But from what I see around here, average teenager, they don't feel like that they don't look that far down the road to think that maybe how good I can be. All right. But anyway, I see Selmo here and seen JC today. I got a new guy, DW3Z1. Appreciate you stopping in with your Ohio State logo there. Selmo is a big Ohio State Brown fan, and maybe you guys cross each other again on the wires. But I got to get up out of here. But right now, I'll say this, Selmo and DW, they're ranking Indiana and Ohio State as the highest odds right now to win the championships next year. Indiana's got this quarterback from TCU. I understand it's supposed to be coming in to replace Mendoza. So they got them lined up to keep on going in Bloomington. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. Everybody else is making moves too. Nobody's standing still. So it's going to come down to the players. You got to make a play. And the days of stockpiling athletes and waiting to play, that's over with. And I think it's a good thing for college sports. All right. So again, unless there's some breaking news, I catch you guys in the morning. We got my baseball practice started. Got to get all that lined up. I've got a game in a couple of weeks, so I don't have much time to waste. Looking for some good things out of that this year. Got some decent talent, and things are looking up. This is going to be a great 26. My Steelers are going to get a good coach, and it's going to be great. And I don't know who the Browns are going to hire, Selmo, but we're still going to whip you. So you keep that in mind. All right. Again, wherever you guys are in the world, you have a great day. I got to get up out of here, man. Bell ring. Got to go sign in. So I'll catch you guys on the flip side. I'm out. Oh, yeah, by the way, Sean McDermott, it was said that he went to the owners complaining about his roster wasn't worthy enough to win a Super Bowl, and the owners didn't take that very well. So now that he got eliminated, it showed itself when they got rid of him. And his comments weren't very popular in the building, but evidently he wasn't wrong. That secondary got burned 2 years in a row. It's the main reason why Buffalo's not still playing. So a lot of times what you say is dead on, but is it the right time to say it? Some people just don't want to hear the truth, and evidently Buffalo owners, they didn't want to hear the truth. So you got to find somebody else to come in, and hopefully that guy don't tell him the truth either. He might be out the door. And Mike McDaniel, it's been reported that he's going to be the next offensive coordinator with the Chargers. So again, get fired one day, hired the next. What a great position to be in if you're an NFL coach, because